Hey everyone, your designers are here. I'm Anita at Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly at My Soulful Home.
We've got tips and tricks and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started.
So today is episode 230, if you can even believe it. Setting the stage, staging your home for sale. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
And the show notes for today's episode can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/230.
Okay, I love this topic. I really do, because I think it is so effective. And I think it's just psychologically, it's so interesting how certain spaces impact people, talk about first impression, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that really has
to
be.
Isn't that the truth?
Right? It has to be smack on, and how you can, I don't want to say manipulate it. It's just do some things and take some steps to really maximize that initial impact. And also from my perspective, I am such an outlier to the general wisdom on all of this. I understand it and I appreciate it and I know that it's effective, but I am completely the opposite as a buyer. If I was to buy your house, I want it to be in the kind of like the worst shape possible. That's
you're an outlier.
Yeah, such an outlier. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I want that completely run down, completely cluttered with really horrible choices because, I'm thinking of what I'm going to do there anyway, and maybe I'm going to get a better deal. So this is, anybody else who falls into the outlier camp, this is still great information to have because most people that are buying homes are not outliers. They want to come with their toothbrush and move into your house and be done.
Well, the other thing is on that, when I go into a house and I see sloppy things, I think, they might not have maintained this house very well. I mean, I do make an assessment there.
That's
and so when I see
point.
that thing, I mean, so if you're going to planning to do some major renovations, that's not a big deal. But if you're thinking, I'm wondering, did they put in the I'm going to be here forever air conditioner, or did they put in the I'm leaving next week? Just give me the bottom level.
That
AC.
is such a good point, Anita. But can I just say this? Our next house, we're looking for the kind of house that Kelly's looking for, because if we ever move from Stone Gable, we'll downsize, and I want to gut it and build it from good bones that it has, rebuild it from the good bones.
Then I recommend that you, that's right. Then I certainly wouldn't be finding a house that's in great shape, obviously.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be looking for. And certainly we can live in this house till, we can build something from on the base of another house. But I have to tell you a funny story. We have sold two homes. We're living in a third home, and they sold really quickly. But when our last home sold, I was like a maniac, and I had two little children. I mean, small children, and we kept everything. And I had a minivan, and we kept everything in laundry baskets. So I wouldn't clutter.
So you've been doing this for a while. Remember, Kelly, that's what she talks about. Remember when you hand someone the basket and say,
"Yeah," but I was using big laundry baskets.
But I'm just saying, you have this basket system.
I do, because I can throw everything in them. And if I would have laundry or anything, I would just pile it all into the minivan. Any clutter, anything that was around, or toys, I wouldn't even put them away. I just pile them all in these laundry baskets, put them in my minivan, and off we'd go. But I had
so this is when the people were coming to look at your house.
Yes. And sometimes they don't give you much notice. It's like, hey, we're going to come in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
is that okay?
That often happens, and you want to sell your house. So, you're in the position where, of course, you're going to say yes. So
don't say no.
I wanted to come clean as this outlier, and Yvonne's saying that's what she might be looking for. But if you're on the side of you're the buyer. Today, our perspective is from that of the seller, you being the seller. And because probably 97% of the population is not an outlier, and they would not to come to a house that is, they can picture themselves in, A, it's clean and bright, B, obviously there's budgetary considerations and location and all that, but they have to have a certain feel from the house to really have it spark their interest. So that's what we're going to talk to you about primarily today. And I love what Anita said, and I do have a really good tip about that as we go on. And I will, if I don't say it, remind me of my really good tip. But initially, I think that if you're going to stage your home to sell, and I have sold 8 homes and in various parts of the country, California, New York, and Virginia, the suburbs of New York, the eastern end of Long Island and New York City, and then LA and Alexandria, Virginia. So I am no stranger to this. I actually help some realtors here in my local area. I get called in for what I call fluff staging. I'm not somebody who has storage houses of sofas and things like that, but I will come in and do the vignettes and the flowers and the lighting and the candles and all that kind of stuff. And the pillows and all of that. So I think clean, bright, and you want to give people the impression that this could be their home, so you don't want to have a lot of personal belongings around or family photos. So oftentimes, that is upsetting to people, but it is a good idea to take that down, particularly if you've got a big gallery wall of, of photos from, your wedding and your kids graduation from high school and all of that and stuff. It might appeal to some people because it feels like, oh, that's a cozy family home. But we're looking for the majority of people. The majority of people are going to want to see it clean and bright and where they can picture their family living.
Kelly, let me just jump in here because I think you said something so important. This is not maybe one or two things are not your preference, but we're talking about the majority. And I know that we've done our homework and we know what quote unquote majority wants. It may be not what one or two people want, but we're talking about how to get the most eyes on a home. And we're speaking to the majority. The other thing is, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, wow, I want anybody who is not in the market for selling their home to think about this. And this is just so important. It may not be what you want to do. In other words, it may not be, you don't have a home to sell right now. However, this is a really good way to live. Because you have to think down the road, eventually you'll probably sell your house if your house doesn't outlive you. And you want to live this way. Why not update as you go and enjoy living in your home with updated things than scrambling around at the last minute, because then it's going to cost, most of us don't have, that much money on hand. We do if we budget and do it as we go. Also, it's just really nice. It's a nice way to think, is my home sell ready just to live in?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. And that's something that I see over and over again, is that people wait on all these repairs to their house, and then they wait till they sell the house. And then when somebody buys the house, that's when everything's all fixed. And meanwhile, the person's living with a broken this, a broken that for years. And you think, why not? You're going to have to do it to sell the house. Why not do it now and enjoy it? And the other thing I want to mention about staging a house is, 10, 20 years ago, I don't know that people put a lot of thought into staging as much as they do now. Now I'm seeing so many houses professionally staged and so many people training on how to do this professionally. And that's what you're going up against. All these houses are going to be professionally staged. So you want your house. That's why it's just so important that you do stage it, because that's what you're competing against.
And I also think that I remember when I sold my first home, I knew enough that it had to be very appealing to sell. So at that time, I used like turtle wax to wax all of my tubs and sinks and shower stalls.
You guys were sliding all over the
and all of the chrome and things. It just sparkled. And the other thing I did, and I mean, I just knew this instinctively. I played low classical music
Yes.
And then I also
Baked a
simmered
pie.
potpourri before they came.
Oh, yeah.
And baked. I remember I baked a raw apple cake one time.
Yeah,
and
you
left
go.
it out just so it smelled good.
And a lot of times the realtors will, if you're having an open house, a lot of times they'll do that for you. Put the cookies in there and have it smelling so wonderful.
Yeah. Well, if you have my fabulous realtor friend, Lynette Soul of Berkshire Hathaway, if you live in my area, that you should definitely, if you're interested in selling your house, talk to Lynette. She's fabulous. She'd do all that for you. But yeah, it's really important. And I love what you guys are saying about, don't turn us off because you're not selling your house this week.
No,
because this is really good information about how to live your life.
Tips. That's right.
And not only making the repairs as you go along so you can enjoy them, so you're not spending a ton of money at the end and then you don't get to reap the benefit of what you've done. You're selling it. But also when you're thinking about making big renovations and big decisions about maybe the infrastructure of your home, you want to think about, is this going to be something that's going to add to my bottom line if and when I sell the house?
Right.
If you update the air conditioning, that's probably going to do more for you than if you put in a pool. But if you have kids and you're going to enjoy the pool, do the pool.
So remember the show Designed to Sell? Remember that show? Did either one of you watch that on HGTV?
No.
Well, the whole point was what we're talking about. It was basically getting your house ready to sell to people. And one of the things the thing that I got from that, the main thing was pull all this extra furniture out of your house.
Yeah.
And I watched it so much. This was before I was blogging, when I actually had time to watch TV. But I love decorating. I watched it so much that we were years away from selling our house, but I went through and did this because it looked so good.
It just made more sense.
And I thought, this is probably the way to live. So I pulled out, because I ended up collecting furniture. All of us that love to decorate sometimes end up with too much stuff in our house. So I pulled out a lot
like that.
No, of course you don't. But I pulled out a lot of furniture, consigned a ton of things, because I was doing the pretend like I'm selling it thing. And I loved the house so much better. And so that was something I did years before I sold. So it's just kind of more confirming what we're saying. This is kind of the way you want to live, but this is something you definitely want to do. And I want to throw out my favorite tip of all time for everything, because I think it applies here. Go in, take a picture of every room. When you look at those pictures, pretend like you are the buyer and kind of look at that and say, what would I think if I were buying this house? I walked into this room. What do I see that I like, that I don't like? And then use that as your guide to kind of decide what changes you need to make. And honestly, I think it's so much easier to make those decisions when you have the pictures in front of you.
Okay, girls, I want to circle back to something that, Kelly, that you said about when you're doing remodel, think about how much you want to spend. Like, would this be good for resale? I have such a fabulous quote from Remodel Magazine. And they're talking about if you want to sell your house eventually. And here's what it is. It says, the high end, now they're talking about kitchens, but this could be bathrooms or anything else. The high end kitchens don't return as much as mid-range or minor kitchen remodels.
Oh, I think that's true, because it's not as big an investment, of course.
Yeah. And if you put in that la-ti-da countertop that you think's that you love and you think will sell, well, maybe it won't. So I thought that was such an interesting quote to keep in mind when we're talking about keeping our homes.
For example,
ready.
The French stoves, I think, are kind of heating up in popularity, and I so want to put one in the mountain house where we're hoping to retire. But they're very expensive. And, I know we're not going to get our money back on that. But, sometimes you just do something because that's what you want. Like a pool.
Yes,
you're not getting your money back on a pool. If you want it, if you're putting it in, you're putting it in because you want it.
Right.
Well,
you enjoy it.
Exactly. But there are times to think, well, how many years am I going to live here? And is it worth that investment?
Exactly.
But before we talk about staging, can I just talk about some things that are absolute must that you must do when you're thinking about selling a house? And one is
now is the time to say
I
that.
think we should dive in. Clean your home until it sparkles. Like make sure it is in a continuous state of clean because nothing will not sell a house.
That just sounded so beautiful to me. I think I just got a little sweaty. A continuous state of clean.
Mm-hmm. No, and I mean, literally when we sold one of our homes and our homes tended to sell really fast because I think I had them so ready to for the people to come in to look at, to the people that are interested in buying, that like we wouldn't even eat in our kitchen. I mean, I just figured, okay, for a month we'll just go out and eat, and we had little kids, so we just
kind of nice too.
Well, because I didn't have
all that. I'm going to sell my house.
I didn't have to do all that cleanup. So the other thing is no clutter, and even if it's necessary, get professional help to clean out the clutter. And here's I'm just going to tell you, don't put it in a storage place. For heaven's sakes, it's clutter. If, you're just going to take clutter to the next house, make sure your closets are almost bare. Paint everything in your house as you go along.
You're telling all the tips. You have to slow down.
I thought you were just doing.
I know you were nothing left. 2 things.
No, these are just overarching things. I just have like 3 or 4 points.
Kelly, we could just mute our mics.
And then I thought we were going to, actually, girls, I'm sorry. I thought we were going to talk about like how to stage it to get ready, not how to do other things. Okay. So I'll just talk about paint and then I'll stop. Paint everything. And it talked about painting things in neutral color. And just remember like things like painting the inside of your closet, painting your doors, painting your woodwork, paint those ceilings. And here's such a biggie. Remove your wallpaper. People may love wallpaper, but they probably won't love yours. And I know that's awful, but yeah, I know I just read it over and over and over again, and it makes
I've lived it.
Sense.
The wallpaper in my house was awful in the house we had before when we moved in.
Right.
And it was dated. I think they put it in and then decided, we don't want to spend the money changing that out. And then by the time I bought the house, it was 20 years old. And,
and also because most people, until the dawn of removable wallpaper and all that, which, that stuff won't be on the market and it'll probably be back down again. That won't be hitting the market for 10, 15 years. The wallpaper people see when they come to look at a home in an open house, their first thought is taking that off.
Yes,
even if they've never done it themselves, they have heard horror stories of someone with those little wheelie things.
And the horror stories are true. They're true.
They are true. So if you can get that off, do it.
And the only other one I have for this, I'm calling it paint because it has to do with that, is I've been reading over and over and over again, remove popcorn ceilings. They really hurt resale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just be careful because sometimes they do have asbestos in them. So
I
don't want you to be exposed to that. So just check. Make sure, you're safe.
Well, we're saying that for everything. Just be careful. And here's the bottom line. When you sell a house, you are probably not going to, you are probably going to be a little bit scathed. You're not going to come out unscathed because you probably will have to put money into your house. Most likely, if you haven't been thinking this way all along, like we're advising you to. And I'm looking at our rain gutters, and Bobby just put those gutter guards, but some of them aren't working. And I'm thinking, we've got to get to those, keep those our house ready to be sold. And not that we're going to sell Stone Gable. And I know that we'll probably need to replace a couple windows, which really breaks my heart because they're so expensive. But, I could buy a sofa for that, but it is what it is. Keep it.
Hey, we're getting a new well today.
Oh, so. Bless your darling heart, Anita.
Oh yeah, it was bad. So yeah, let's not talk about big expenses.
But let me just say one more thing. My son and daughter-in-law were in the market to buy a house, and they had planned to buy a house like in late fall, but in the early spring of the year before, they started just quote unquote looking to see what they wanted to buy. Well, they came upon an old house that was built in the 1930s in a wonderful established neighborhood that a young couple had bought and totally redid. I mean, except for the kitchen, but the kitchen was really kitschy and cute, but they updated some of it. It was so charming that they said, well, we really like this house and it's a little early. Would you and Daddy come and look at it? And we did. And I said to Christopher, if you don't call them and buy it now, you're just foolish. Like, you're not going to find another house like this. And every single person that came into that house said, I could live here. I could live here. I could live here. And it wasn't like super fancy, but the updates were so lovely and just so wonderful. And they had everything they did well. Mm-hmm. And they sold that home. They got, fortunately, they moved because Christopher got a job he could just say no to and couldn't say no to. And they sold that for quite a profit.
Well, that worked out well.
Within like 3 years. And that's really, that's a good thing to do because that's not often the case.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
Can I go to the closets?
Yeah,
yes, of course. Let's go into the closet today.
Okay, so in the closets, so it's not just about getting rid of the excess stuff and stuffing it in your minivan, although I think that's a great idea if you have that option.
No, only when I had stuff out and they were coming in 10 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, if you need to, you can get rid of things, put things somewhere else, put it in a storage locker somewhere. But the thing I think about the closets that really help is to get some decorative containers that match. If you have that look of this, and if you kind of have some containers, boxes, something structured where you look in there and it looks so neat and has a designer look, that is going to appeal to them because most people are going in there with messy closets. And if they see your closet, what it can be at its best, I think that's going to go a long way.
At
You're
its
smart.
best. I love that.
Yep.
Yes, I so agree. Even if it's not a California closets or, closets by you sort of decor where it's all fitted and, every sort of storage unit imaginable is tucked in there strategically. Even if it's just a plain old closet that you open up and there's a rod, if it smells funny, if it's got a mixture of wire hangers and plastic from the dry cleaner and everything stuffed in there, that is very unappealing for someone to look at. And that's sort of very too personal. You've taken away all your family photos and all that, but then they open the closet because they are for sure going to open the closet if they think they're going to live there, right?
Oh,
so,
they literally see your dirty laundry.
Right. So clear it out. Maybe, if you want to keep it as a closet, hang your 3 most fabulous outfits in there, and then put these boxes or these storage boxes like Anita's talking about up on the shelf and make it look as presentable and make it smell good. Get one of the sachet sets from Bespoke Decor, stick it in there. It will last. And you can leave it for them. It'll last the next 20 years.
And some linen spray in there. I think some lavender linen spray would be good. Yeah.
Or and my favorite is, other than bespoke sachets, is a cotton ball that has essential oil on it.
Nice. Yeah.
Tucked away.
Yeah.
Smells
Definitely.
wonderful. Stick them in your shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, great idea.
Have lovely smelling shoes. Yep. And makes it everything smell good.
A lot of people don't. I mean, if you're listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks, you have a fabulous imagination probably, and you love decor, and you can envision things that maybe the average person who's coming to look at your house can't, right? So you want to lay the groundwork to give them provide them the best environment for their imaginations to put themselves and their family in your home and how they would make it their own, right? So, sometimes you'll see somebody like, oh, well, you could just do that. And why don't you just break through those 2 closets and you can make it one big walk-in? Well, most of the people aren't going to see that. So you have to make your house as hospitable in so many ways to them so they can picture how they can live there. And
that's such a good point.
Making the closets as neat and clean and smelling as great as possible will go a long way to doing that.
When you're saying this, we have a huge, big walk-in closet in our master bedroom, but it's just your basic a shelf with rods, and it's for Bobby and I. And I look at it every time I go in, it's like, oh my gosh, like all of our clothes are like stuffed in there. We would be like the what not to do, but I would love to have. I dream of having a closet like Anita's. Nobody does. But I would just love to have something that's better organized. And you know what? This is going to spur me on. And every winter we take on like 1 or 2 home decor projects. And this may be it for the winter of 2019.
There you go.
Well, and so while you're working on it, another idea I have, if you've got enough room in your bathroom or in your closet, one thing you can do is put a really pretty chair in there. And maybe it's a small space. Maybe you can't do it. Maybe it's just a little ottoman, a little poof to put in there to sit on. But wouldn't that be inviting for them to see, oh, I can sit here and put my shoes on, or, oh, look at that pretty chair. And then when you're hanging your clothes, I bought all those nice hangers like they have at the department store. They all match exactly. And so I have those nice, why mess up your closet with a bunch of those, wire hangers? Get the nice plastic ones that match, and then have it color coordinated. When people see that you've put the detail like that into a space like your closet, they're going to feel like they took care of their house.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I agree with you.
You're absolutely right. When you said in the beginning, that will resonate, and that will be the overlay to their impression of your entire home. Your plumbing pipes they will think they're better plumbing, but they must have copper pipes, because did you notice all their hangers match? Because it's just human nature.
Okay,
right?
they're gold.
Well, then let's just get out of the bedroom closet. Let's get down to our coat closets, and I have to continually clean those out because they they contain coats that if I left them in there, I wouldn't use for like 10 years and go like, oh, I wondered where that was.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important that you have any of your coat closets. We have one by our garage door and we have two flanking our front door. One's in a dish closet, but the other one, keep that looking so nice. Paint the inside of it because they get scuffed up.
Mm-hmm.
And especially things like that. Now, my one by my garage door has enough room to put like my and an outlet for my vacuum cleaner, a few other things, but keep those as pristine as possible. Let's talk about this next thing, and I think this is so important. Replace anything that does not work.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
think like this: a new fill in the blank probably won't increase the sale price of my house, but because this is a maintenance issue, it will bring lots more buyers into your home. Nobody, okay, you've got a burner that doesn't work. Well, maybe replacing that stove, you may not get that. It'll not increase the value of your house, but people are going to look like at your doorbell that doesn't work, your burner that doesn't work, your cabinet door that doesn't close all the way. You're not going to get those buyers to your house because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. Yes. So all of that is important. And you just, if you have to hire somebody for a day or two, make your list. Don't think of it a week later after the guy is gone. Make a really nice, thorough list. Go through each room in your home. Make sure all the doorknobs work. Check. Have your air filters replaced. All of that good stuff. And maybe you can get it done in one visit, or maybe it's something that you and whoever you're living with in the house can help you with, and you can clear that all up and cross all those off your list. And there was a mention about the clutter. Yeah, and clutter doesn't, as Anita said, clutter doesn't just mean paper and doodads and your kids' backpacks and stuff like that. Clutter can be furniture as well. And Anita covered that in the beginning. That's what a professional stager does. Probably one of the first things they do. If it's not a house that really needs a major paper mess, trashy kind of revisit, then they will just go in and they will clear out the furniture because most people have too much furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And you want a room to seem airy and larger than maybe it really is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and speaking about giving a room a feeling of being more open and airy, another thing you can do is make sure those window treatments are pulled back, opened up, because I know some people like all the drapes closed and all the shades, closed all the way because of, whatever reason, privacy, whatever. But when you've got people coming to look at your house, you absolutely want those shades up all the way, the curtains pulled all the way open. You want the maximum amount of light you can into flooding the room. You want it to feel that light and bright, and nothing says dark and dank and I don't want to stay like a room where the shades are all closed up.
And get your windows cleaned, because that's going to go a long way for that as
absolutely. Let them sparkle.
And if your home is on the smaller side, or even if it's a really nice mid-sized home, if you're going to paint anyway and you need to paint, choose a nice neutral, and you may want to change the draperies in the public rooms to something that's matching the color of the walls, because that will also give a sense of more space and make the rooms all seem larger, because it'll be seamless.
Another thing that you should do is add a sign of life to every room. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about a plant or flowers or something that has been living, like moss balls. We've talked about things like that so often when we talk about decorating, but we really need to do that, double that up when we're talking about to selling our house. That these signs of life are so important. And you can have some personal pictures, but really edit them down and make sure that they're very tasteful.
Yeah.
Another thing, you're talking about cleaning your windows. Make sure every floor is at its best. So if you have hardwood floors, make sure they're clean. Make sure the shine hasn't worn off of them. And even if you have wall to wall, make sure have your rugs professionally cleaned. And if they're shabby, go for a mid-grade, replace them, go for a mid-grade, a lighter neutral colored rug, especially if you just have, baseboards underneath.
Okay. And let's talk about lighting. That lighting is really something that I emphasize all the time for myself in the evening. All the time. I like to have candle lights and all that, but lighting is crucial when you're trying to sell your house. You'll notice if you have a good real estate agent, when they come in to do an open house or something, they're going to go put on all the lights in your house, right? So if you don't have enough lights, your house is not going to look great. So you want to have 3 sources of lighting all the time. You want to have ambient, task, and accent lighting. So if that means going to TJ Maxx or Home Goods and buying a lamp or dragging a lamp out of your storage and putting it out, just adding an accent lamp, do it. I'm not talking about like the fluff candles and all that. Then real lighting will make a difference. And if you can get the lights put on dimmers, if that's not going to be too costly for you, I would suggest doing that if you don't already have it. Oftentimes they do like a broker's open in the evening, and it's just so lovely to people come in with the nice soft lighting. They'll have a whole different impression of your home at that time of day.
Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
Okay, then let's just stay with lighting, though. I think it's so important that you, if you have, look at your chandeliers, things that are over your table, things that are over your sink, things that are over your vanities. If they are very dated, replace them. It is not expensive. You don't have to replace them with something very expensive. And you can get lighting at very reasonable prices nowadays. So I think that's if you're going to and also look at your hardware in your kitchen. Those are the things that if you update make such a difference in the overall look of your home.
Yeah, and something that's not actually going to cost you anything that I think is going to help have a pleasing effect to your rooms, similar to pulling back those curtains, is to go for symmetry in the room and make sure that it feels balanced, because there's something about that symmetry and the feeling of balance to a room. When you walk in, it's kind of one of those, I don't know what it is about this room, but I like it. It feels comfortable.
Good
but
point.
When there's clutter, when it feels off kilter, when there's jarring colors that people don't like, then they feel like, I have a bad feeling about this. And a lot of these decisions, they really are made on that feeling that they get.
I agree with you, Anita. The first, like Kelly was saying, that's a first impression. Like, I just have a really good feel about this house. Or,
yeah, because think about it, they're only going to be in your house. I mean, if they stay at an open house more than an hour, you might think they're stalkers. But, they're a half hour, an hour, something like that, maybe 15 minutes. So you got to grab him then. And if you take all these tips, I think that you're going to have a really easy time doing it, even in a tough market. And it's a stressful time when you're selling your house. It's unnerving to have people walking through your home, and you might even hear them if you're nearby commenting on your choices, or then they might
don't stay in your house,
and then they don't like it. It's just it's stressful. So just recognize that. Do all these things to minimize the stress. Have it be a fast and simple process that definitely works in the positive for you. And I think our tips are going to take you a long way towards that. I have one thing that I wanted to mention that I had alluded to earlier about, as Anita said, having the overall impression and of the fact that you've taken care of this home and you've cared for it, and it was important to you, so you've done the right things while you've lived there. Okay, obviously we hope it's not just an impression, that you've actually done this for the most part, right? But adding onto that to give people the sense that, and the confidence and some information to back that up. What I like to do after my 8 sales is I get a big Ziploc bag or a folder, and I put in all the packets and all the manuals, the owner's manuals, and sometimes even the receipts for the bigger ticket functional items like the AC or the alarm system, of all that stuff. How does all of this work? What is the serial number of certain things? I'll put it all in there. Then I'll do a sheet typed out of the workers that I have had, people that I would recommend to someone else, so they have something to start out with. And I've even gone so far as to, and my real estate agent loved this idea, and she started doing it, is putting in, a list of maybe some local restaurants, takeout places, hair cutters. If the people have kids, maybe something about the schools or pediatric dentists, just something to help them. It's very welcoming. It also certainly shows that you've crossed your T's and dotted your I's. And actually, even my hairdresser, he has given me some coupons that I stuck in there. So if they did buy the house and they lived in the area, they could get 20% off.
Oh, that's adorable.
Hair cutter.
Yeah.
So it's not for, the casual open house person, but when you're getting down the line and people are interested and you think they're going to put in an offer, have a packet like that available for them.
Hey,
great
girls,
idea, Kelly. I like that.
We're really running over, but I think we need to revisit this. We haven't talked about curb appeal and what to do on the outside of your house, because that is truly the first impression.
Yeah.
And maybe
Curb
going
appeal's fun
room by room and giving tips as far as rooms. Even if you don't have a home to stage for sale, these are great ideas to use in your own home. And we'll do a part 2 coming up soon. We want to thank you for listening. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey, everybody. We want to thank you so much for listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks. And we want to make it even easier for you to listen. And it's easier if you subscribe. You just click the subscribe button on our website, www.decoratingtipsandtricks.com, or you can subscribe through Apple Podcast or any of your favorite podcast listeners. When you subscribe, DTT comes free right to you 3 days a week. So until next time.